Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Media Matters for Anfield Index. What a night that was, eh? What a game, what a performance by so many. Anfield was electric, Liverpool were brilliant, Real Madrid are vanquished to a series of boos, which we all enjoyed, truth be told. I'm joined as ever by the renowned and the respected David Lynch, and David, there's so much to talk about with this one. I just want to get right into it straight away. And we'll start with the fans, the atmosphere. It was brilliant. It was electric, wasn't it, last night?
Yeah, brilliant. I was going to say from You'll Never Walk Alone onwards, but even before that, the atmosphere was really starting to get building as soon as people got in the ground. And it's just exactly what Liverpool needed, isn't it? It's been a tough recent run, and I think the atmosphere against Villa was very good as well, and he just kind of went up a notch for this one, as you would expect with Real Madrid coming in the Champions League. And it was just constant wall of noise and everyone kind of playing the part and everybody making sure the players knew that the fans had the back. The Anfield is just at its best, isn't it, when you get fans and the players working in synergy together, and you got that for the entire 90 minutes yesterday. It was an absolutely brilliant performance, both on the pitch and in the stands.
It was, just great across the board. And there's so many points to discuss, so many players and comments to get into. So the first one, I thought that Andy Robbo's been talking for the official site just afterwards, and I think he got these two bits spot on. From minute one, we were bang at it, hard to beat, working for each other. The quality was there too. And also said Courtois was outstanding. Deja vu for the lads from Paris, but we kept knocking. Maka got the goal. It's a massive 3 points. I mean, he's spot on with that. It was thoroughly deserved, wasn't it? I know it was 1-0, so it looks close, but it wasn't really.
No, Liverpool, the dominant force in the match, really, and kind of the expected goals and the shots kind of numbers bear that out, really. I think it ends up 9-2 in terms of shots on target, and I don't think Real Madrid have faced 9 shots on target very often at all in recent years. So that's a really impressive number, and about 2.5 on the expected goals for Liverpool, 0.5 or something like that for Real Madrid. So, in a normal world, that ends in a 2 or a 3-0 victory. And I think if it had done, then Real Madrid could have had absolutely no complaints, because that was the game we saw in front of us. You did have a little worry at times that Courtois was just going to keep pulling out the saves, and that Real Madrid, because they've got brilliant quality, would just have one moment and take it. That's the threat in these high-profile games against great sides. But of course, Liverpool, they didn't switch off at any moment. They kept completely solid throughout and used their moment when it came. And that was enough for a 1-0 win. But it was, as you say, could have easily been more for Liverpool. And had it been, they would have absolutely deserved it. This was as one-sided a 1-0 as you're likely to see.
Yeah, brilliant in so many senses. And we're only going to talk about an opposition player who started once, but Thibaut Courtois, I mean, he loves playing against us. He was, whatever you say, he was brilliant in this, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's this absolute freak, isn't he? I mean, one of those who can rival, I think, Alisson Becker as the best goalkeeper in the world. He's one of few who's up there in his company anyway. And I thought he was outstanding again. And I saw a statistic doing the rounds. Is it something to do with kind of 25% of the saves he's made in the Champions League have come against Liverpool? It was something like that. I mean, that just shows you how good he is against Liverpool. And it was another one where he kind of threatened to frustrate them last night. And do you know what's interesting about him? I think he's got a very similar build to Mamardashvili, and similar in the way he dresses the ball as well. And I just wonder, if Mamardashvili can kind of go along those lines and be a similar sort of keeper, then Liverpool have got a good one, because Courtois is just gold standard again. And the only reason that Real Madrid leave not having lost by a greater margin, which, as I say, they would have deserved to.
Yeah, it would have been so much more. But let's talk about some Liverpool players. And as much as Courtois loves a game against us, Conor Bradley seems to adore a game against Real Madrid of all teams. And some of the stats there, I mean, most recoveries with 7, 100% of his tackles, 10 passes into the final third. I don't think we're underselling this. This was Conor Bradley's best ever Liverpool game, wasn't it?
Yeah, but do you know what? I didn't kind of think about it like that, but probably fair. I mean, probably up there with his performance against Real Madrid last time. There, maybe the top two so far, and he was absolutely outstanding. I mean, I think Vinicius wins 2 out of 9 ground duels, which kind of shows you how much he comes off second best in that um, individual battle, and that's what it's all about as a fullback. Because particularly a team like Real Madrid, with the quality they've got all over the pitch, you have to leave 1v1s a lot, because you can't leave Bellingham free in the middle to go and double up out wide, or you certainly can't do it every time. And so, he ended up in a lot of situations where it was just him up against Vinicius, and just as he had done against Mbappe last season, he kind of took his pants down really and won that battle quite comfortably. So, that was really good to see, because I think there's been a few question marks around Bradley at the start of the season about what he is and what he can be. And, I've always been a big fan of his, but, clearly he's been disrupted by the injuries and the injuries suffered early in this season that he's kind of knocked him off his rhythm a little bit. But I think he's starting to get fit now. He's started to get some rhythm going, like a few other players, in fact. And, you just saw the absolute best of him yesterday, and not just brilliant defensively, but I thought very good going forward as well. He gets Vinicius yellow carded with a drive forward. He gets into dangerous areas a lot, and I thought his working build up was fantastic, which is something he'd been a little bit worried about in the start of this season. I'd say is that he's obviously not Trent. He's never going to be as comfortable as that, but he plays some really nice, cute passes out, and he said a few balls into the final third as well. So. Just a brilliant all-round performance from him. And your only thing with him, your only concern, I would say, is that he just stays fit. And if he can do that, he's a top-class Liverpool right back for me. He's definitely of that standard.
Yeah, you could only hope. I suppose it sounds almost like I'm bagging on him here, but we've seen Conor Bradley play a game like last night, but we've also seen him at times bought off at half times, and Szoboszlai moved to right back in different bits. Is the big challenge now for Conor Bradley stay fit and keep this level realistically?
Yeah, I mean, Slot makes the point a lot that he's not actually played that many games for Liverpool, so he is still quite an inexperienced young, and he is still young as well, by the way. So he is quite inexperienced, and he's got some lessons to learn, and so you probably are going to see the odd dip in performance and in finding it difficult. But I think it's interesting. You're probably not going to need Szoboszlai right back if you solve the build-up in the way that Liverpool have recently, and I think we should be really giving credit to Arne a lot about what's been happening there recently, and that has improved massively from earlier in the season, I think. And, you're against a team in Real Madrid and Aston Villa similarly, who are probably going to be more aggressive in the press than the teams that go long. And so to do it and to look like they've kind of worked things out in build-up, despite that, is hugely impressive. And I think he's just kind of tweaked how Liverpool do it a bit to help them play out. And that's helping everyone. Konaté's not suddenly stood there looking absolutely clueless. You're seeing Conor Bradley looking comfortable because he's got options. He's got either 2 options at the base of midfield coming in deep to meet him. He's got Mo Salah will sometimes drop in. I thought even Wirtz coming into central positions. It just kind of worked how they did that yesterday, and it's worked in the last couple of games. So that will make Conor Bradley look a lot better as well. And yeah, if you can just stay fit now, that consistency of performance will come, no doubt about it.
And it kind of stayed into Bradley in the midfield, because you've seen it tweaked a little bit against Villa, and especially in this one. In that build-up, before it kind of used to be just Gravenberch there and the other 2 would be ahead of him, but he's bringing a double pivot into the build-up, so there's multiple options. And noticeable as well, we're not seeing sort of Van Dijk and Konaté knock it back to each other. There's not those passing chains. They've got options to look forward. It's just that subtle tweak is making things look a million times better at the moment.
Yeah, just making everybody in the back line look like they're not kind of scared of the football, which is because, as much as you can say, and we spoke about this at the time, is that, look, you're not going to sign Mark Gay tomorrow, so you've got to find a solution in the meantime to these build-up issues, because using a single pivot is not it when you've got Konaté, who's not that great of kind of threading those little cute balls through. And just make it easier for Bradley, make it easier for Kirkes when he's in the team by giving them options to pass to work themselves out of the danger. So, a great solution from the manager that is absolutely working at the moment. And I just think it's benefiting absolutely everybody in the team and the team as a whole in terms of getting the ball from the back to the front safely. Therefore, you can attack more.
Yeah, and everyone just seems more comfortable with it at the moment. And someone who I think it's fair to say, he had a terrible start to the season, but he was proper back now, Alexis Mac Allister. He deserved his goal in this one, but again, just another outstanding performance from him, wasn't it?
Yeah, and proof again that it's just, what do you do as a manager in these situations? It's almost nightmarish because you've got to play him back into form, but while you're doing it, he's dreadful, and he was dreadful for a long time this season. So it's a difficult one, and everyone's like, why are you still playing him? But it's like, this is why you play him, because you get this week off him, and you're like, well, he's world class when he's on it, so I've got to get him there as quickly as possible. But the problem is, obviously, Liverpool were terrible in the meantime, so it's such a difficult one for managers. But there's no doubt, once he is back to his best, and he is at the moment now, I think he was Liverpool's most important midfielder last season, and he's, he was just massive again in these last two, and brilliant again yesterday. Not just the goal, but everything else he gives you is, kind of knitting the team together, being the extra man in attack and being creative there, but also so good around second balls, which has been, again, one of the reasons it's been awful that he's been playing poorly, because he is quite good at getting around and kind of just nicking those little balls. He's not the most mobile, but he's reading of the game. He tends to know where they're going to drop, and when he's got the fitness to get there, then he will win you the ball. And there was a few where he got really in tight and snapped in and won the ball yesterday, and Liverpool was suddenly on the front foot because he's got the quality as well to get the first pass away. So, brilliant and very important player for Liverpool, and what a relief to see him back to playing at this standard.
Yeah, let's just hope he keeps this level, because when Mac Allister plays well, everything tends to knit forward from there. And I suppose one of his midfield counterparts, a standard has just not dropped for 1 single second with Dominic Szoboszlai, another assist. But I think we're fair to say, from what we've seen, we're looking at a world-class player right now with Szoboszlai, aren't we?
The biggest compliment I can pay him is, at the moment, there's, at least I'll be careful how I phrased it, there are shades of Steven Gerrard to the performances that he's putting in terms of sheer work rate, snapping into challenges, being comfortable in the attacking third, those powerful driving runs and bringing others into play. There is a bit of Gerrard about him in the way he's playing the games at the moment, and I just think he's gone to another level now. I mean, he's been very good since he's come in, really, you have to say. But I think he's getting a little bit older, he's getting wiser, he's getting all that extra experience. He's fully adapted to this team and the league that Liverpool are in, and doing the Premier League, Champions League thing back to back. He's unbelievable work rate he provides on top of all that as well. And he is that's it. There's no other description than world class, really. He's just he's one of the best midfielders out there at the moment, and he's just crucial to this Liverpool team. So hopefully he can keep it up as well.
Yeah, there's just so many in good form. You just hope it continues the way it is. And speaking of continuing it in good form, it's weird because I've seen a mixed reaction to this, a little bit like, because Carreras is a good player and he had a decent game. But as it says there, Salah completed the most dribbles with 5, and he won the most duels with 9 there as well. I thought Mo Salah looked like Mo Salah again on the European stage last night.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think no goal, as you say, but I think his performance level was very good again, which is, what you want from him. He's not going to score every week, and that's absolutely fine. But if you can just play and be a net positive contribution to the team, then that's great. And I actually thought it was interesting with the Carreras thing. I thought pretty even battle for me in the end. I actually thought Carreras had a great game, as you say, but I thought Salah played really well, and Salah got the better of him, 2 or 3 times and got into dangerous scenarios. But also Carreras, got a couple in on him and won the ball a few times. So it's a really, really good battle. I think Carreras, did Manchester United not think he was better than Malacia or Luke Shaw? I found that absolutely amazing, to be honest. But it's, it was a really, really good battle. And you couldn't say maybe either came out on top, just that both played very, very well. And that's good news to Liverpool, because to have Salah back playing well is of course, incredibly important. And, he, like Mac Allister, would have been so easy to kind of drop him out of the team in the long term. But this is why you keep him in, because it very, very suddenly changes, and it has with Salah.
It really has. It just seems to be changing. These small, subtle tweaks are having a massive effect, and it just was so good on so many levels. And we talked about Madrid a little bit. Courtois outstanding. Carreras had shades, but I know we were WhatsApping about this, and you were wrong about it last night, but the referee was Real's second best player last night, and that was a penalty, wasn't it? Now you've looked at it again.
No, not even close, to be honest. I really just don't want to see penalties given for those sorts of things. What kind of surprised me is that they've overturned it in a UEFA competition, because they seemingly absolutely love giving handballs. So, but for me, that's common sense. I mean, you look how close the arm is to him. You look the speed the ball is moving, and I think you've got to say it's a good process as well from the referees. I think he thinks it's a handball, so they give the free kick. Then VAR tells him it's inside the box, so okay, then it's got to be a penalty. But do you want to have a look at the handball, because we're not entirely sure it's definitely handball? He goes and has a look. He decides it's not, and then of course the outcome then has to be, unfortunately for Liverpool, not a corner, which they would have won, but of course a drop ball to the goalie. So that's an unfortunate kind of quirk of the rules. But I thought the process around that, this is kind of what VAR was brought in for, and you can't really argue with that. I mean, I would have been gutted if Liverpool get a penalty given against them for that kind of handball. That's just not a handball for me, really. And like I say, the process that worked through to get to where they were seemed absolutely fine to me. If I had one problem with the ref, because I thought the ref actually had a decent game, really, all in all. It's the odd one where you go, I'm not sure about that, but I thought he had a decent game in terms of controlling it. One thing I'd say he has to work on is maybe his positioning, because he was, dear God, he was playing as a holding midfielder for Real Madrid at times. I think there was 2 or 3 occasions where he was in the way of the play. That is something I would definitely criticise him for. But I don't have too many complaints around the non-penalty and his performance in general, I have to say.
Yeah, maybe fair. I still think, I don't know how too many get away with a flying save, but we're allowing it for this one. 1-0. It doesn't matter, I suppose, too much in that regard. And in terms of off-the-field news, I mean, even this game gave us plenty to talk about and get stuck into. And I'm going to put a picture of 2 big characters in the football world on screen, and you've probably no doubt about where I'm going on this. Virgil van Dijk, Wayne Rooney afterwards. I mean, he stuck it on him big time, didn't he? Talking about over the top. But it got, I wouldn't say like heated, that would be completely wrong. But, it was quite direct, wasn't he, Virgil, in terms of, well, when people are talking about me signing my contract and letting it slide, that's not who I'm about at all. And I disagree with. I like this, though. You want to see the skipper having a pop back at these things, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely, because these people have a platform to say whatever they want, and I think it's only fair that the players get to go back at them from time to time and say. And this is the thing that I always try and kind of ride the line myself, and this is why we have messages all the time, in the recent run of why you're not calling for Slot's head and all these kind of things. But you've got to kind of keep it on a level, I think, of like, the criticism. You don't go too over the top. You maybe don't go too over the top in the praise as well, because results can kind of change. Or you've got to look at underlying performance. You just got to kind of be balanced in the way you approach these. And the one thing I hate the most in kind of journalism or punditry or whatever you want to call it as well is that when people start to kind of apply mad logic to, like, the results are poor at the moment, so it must be this bugbear that I've got about this specific thing, or like Rooney speculating about the idea that Van Dijk, an unbelievable professional, one of the greatest defenders we've ever seen, is playing poorly or is in a team that's playing poorly because he can't be bothered now because he's signed a new contract. I mean, that is an unbelievable insult to a fellow professional. And I think that's below Wayne Rooney to say that, really. And I think so, Virgil van Dijk shouldn't have to sit there and take that and listen to it. He should be able to push back. And I thought he did it in a respectful way. I thought Rooney, to be fair, didn't shirk it either. He kind of accepted it. So a positive exchange all around. But I would say this, and to be honest, not just pundits and journalists have a responsibility. I think fans in general, it would, the whole football experience would be nicer if people didn't approach criticism in that way of like, I don't know, a good example, like Canate is playing a certain way because Real Madrid are interested. He's not a good professional, or, same with Salah with his contract, or any of these kind of multitude of reasons people suggesting it's that they lack professionalism, or they're not good people and that's the reason they're losing, or Slot is arrogant and he wants to change things from the way Jurgen's been playing, and all these kind of nonsense theories that get bandied around. I just don't think it's fair, and I think it was trying, and this is why I think Wayne Rooney should have done better than this, is that because we are close to it, we see these people as human beings and I get to interact with them. I know there's no way that Van Dijk could get to where he is without having been, an insane level of professional and knowing what his standards are like and knowing the guy down the years. So for someone who's, been a professional footballer himself and a brilliant one like Wayne Rooney, I just think he should have shown a little bit more respect there. And I'm really glad he kind of got called out for it. And I think a few more people should get called out for some of those things he's been saying about Van Dijk, Salah, Slot recently. Certainly if they're suggesting that they don't care in some regard, because that will never be true.
True. It was just funny watching Wayne Rooney go the same shade of red as Virgil's tracksuit. And also then Arne Slot talking afterwards and saying about, well, if you lose games as a manager, and then eyeballing Rooney as well. So I think he got well and truly put back in his place. But I suppose positives for us from last night, and you're always looking for trends, patterns that we talk about. Back-to-back clean sheets against two very good sides, one elite to be fair as well. And just with the tweaks and the way things are going, momentum, it may be a bit too strong to say we're fully, but things just looking positive trend-wise, aren't they?
Yeah, and the best thing, not just kind of the surface level stuff like the results, and as you say, the clean sheets, it's kind of what's going on under the hood as well. I mean, they've deserved the clean sheets basically. I mean, I think they've probably given up less than an expected goal against Real Madrid and Aston Villa. I mean, that's how you keep clean sheets, is doing that, because you're not relying on luck there at all. That is a really good underlying defensive performance. So, the job is, of course, is to do that as many times a season as you possibly can. And so they're back to doing that. They've done it in back-to-back games now. The best performance level we've seen in terms of the entire balance of the team in 2 games back-to-back now. So just keep repeating it is the job now. And you just feel like the foundations for good performance were there in those 2 performances. And if they keep repeating those, then, they'll stop teams scoring against them and they will score goals themselves.
Yeah, if you do that, the results will just come from there. And I suppose off the field before the game as well, you had no doubt what the major talking point was going to be. What was going to be the lineup after Villa? And it's the same, except a massive difference. Cody Gakpo goes to the bench and Florian Wirtz comes in on the left-hand side. And probably I, like many other fans, obviously interesting to see from a journalist side, was like, brilliant. That's what we wanted to see. Florian Wirtz from the left for ages and, given a run and a real chance there. I suppose to start with, based on last night and what we saw, is there a case that's Liverpool's strongest 11 in the current situation right now?
Yeah, I would certainly lean on that side because, you're coming up against one of the toughest opponents you've faced all season and putting in one of your best performances. And it's not just that, really. It was, it's not just that the team did really well. It was just kind of, it seemed better for both the collective and the individual for kind of several reasons, really, that I felt. I mean, just talking about the collective, I mean, it allows you to put that midfield 3 back together. So you've got Szoboszlai leading the press, you've got Gravenberch as a number 6, and you've got McAllister in there knitting the whole thing together. They are one of the best midfield units in Europe, they proved last season. And so putting them back together makes an awful lot of sense. Of course, the effect that Wirtz has on the collective as well, in terms of, I think he helps them in build up down that side. He's way more adept at taking the ball with his back to goal and kind of coming in and finding little passes to get it off than Gakpo is, who wants to be running at the opposition goal. So it helps in terms of that. Wirtz can kind of drift in and make it a box midfield to make it easier to kind of fire passes around and get through. He's really, really good at winning second balls as well, if you allow him to do it in certain areas, because, I mean, when he's been in that number 10, he's been kind of stationed up the pitch, I think, an awful lot, and kind of really, really pushed out of it. Whereas, when you get him in that left, he kind of can naturally come into deeper positions, not just to exchange passes, but also, like I say, those second balls. I think he makes 6 recoveries last night as well, because he's just working down that side. Brilliant. And he's got brilliant work rate. And so, like I say, I just think it makes the team as a whole absolutely better and solves issues that they've had in build-up and kind of second balls around midfield. But also from the individual perspective, he's just operating in the spaces that he did for Bayer Leverkusen, and that is where he's played his best football of his career. And so it makes sense to put him there. So, he creates 5 chances last night, more than any other player who plays in the game. And there's your evidence, really, that it kind of works for him. And I understand that there's all this talk about, well, Arne Slot promised him the number 10 position and he's going to be this and that. But I don't think he's going to be disappointed by this, because he wants to play in a winning team. And he's going to be, if he stays in this position, he's playing in a winning team and operating in the areas where he's really happy to do it. So that's everything he wants, really, surely. And so I just think it solves Liverpool's issues. I think it solves Florian Wirtz's issues. It just seems like the perfect solution to the problem that Arne Slot has faced so far, and I think it's something he should absolutely stick with. And as you've thankfully very kindly put up there, that I've written this, gone into this at length with some graphs and graphics you might want to look at in if anyone wants to have a look at that piece as well.
I mean, you broke it down, the article, about all the numbers and like recoveries, chances. And this, again, it's going to sound like bagging on Cody Gakpo, but it's just the differences in the player. Florian Wirtz allows us to press better as a unit. He's a far better presser. He covers more distance as well, back to some tune than Cody Gakpo. It plays to all his strengths as well at the same time. I suppose my question around this is, a lot of people see Cody Gakpo as almost Arne Slot's second son in the way the lineups have been announced this season. It does seem a solution that you want to see it longer term, don't you? Like, give it a run. And that's not trying to be about bagging on Cody Gakpo. It's about what's best for the team right now.
Well, the thing is, Gakpo's still going to get an awful lot of games, because there's still an awful lot of games in the season. And I thought he was, he contributed when he came on last night and added some threat for Liverpool as well. So, it's not to say he's not going to be an important player anymore, but he's very much, he's what he was last season, which is that he was the guy who kind of shared the left wing with Luis Diaz, and they both kind of job shared there. So, I don't think he's one who's kind of knocking on the door and absolutely denying, demanding that he be in the team all the time. He can be rotated in and out. Wirtz is a different case, because you've got to get him in the team, because you paid 100 odd million for him. So you really have to use him. So, I don't think Gakpo will be absolutely against it if he's on the bench from time to time and has to impact it from there. And as we said, for all those reasons, it just makes the team as a whole completely better to have Wirtz there. It gets the best out of Wirtz as well. It's a no-brainer to keep him there going forward.
And I suppose the final one on this, as you said, because they had the 3, so they were almost able to combine as a 4 in midfield, so it gave us an overload in there at times. Like, Wirtz wasn't on the left, as in like a classic left winger. He was coming in, and he should have had an assist for Szoboszlai, obviously, coming from the middle, going wide and putting it in. So it gave that variety. But you saw all of a sudden, Andy Robbo had space down that left-hand side. And you must be, Milos Kerkez must be on the bench thinking, why aren't I allowed to run down there? Or like, where's my space been all this time?
Yeah, and this is, again, is a thing where you just think Wirtz, with his weight of pass, his awareness, would be a better fit for Kerkez down that side as well, and would give him a little bit more to kind of work with in terms of actually playing him in from time to time. So again, it's something that might even get more out of another signing in Kerkez and might work for that. So, it just feels like, I'm not sure why Arne Slot's been so reluctant to use it up to this point, but I think he's now stumbled upon this. This is a bit of a kind of long-term solution. We'll see whether he persists with it going forward, but I really think the case is there that he should.
Yeah, it really is. And there's a few comments about, it's not about bagging on Gakpo, it's about what's good at the moment and what works well. And it just seemed to solve so many issues last night. In terms of the Trent situation, I mean, we still had media telling us we shouldn't boo him, which is crazy. What anyone thought was going to happen. I know there was the bit around the mural, but it's interesting that Virgil was matter of fact, wasn't he? Like, if you talk to Trent, nope, like, move on, Theo Walcott eyeball type of thing. But is it more just I'm kind of getting frustrated with being told how we should feel as Liverpool fans about this situation.
Yeah, I thought Jamie Carragher absolutely nailed that. I saw something he said on CBS about the fans feeling kind of, look, if you're going to brand yourself as the local lad done good who loves Liverpool, you don't get to then just go and join Real Madrid and everyone be like, oh, nice one, mate. See you later. Have a great time, particularly when it's a Liverpool you're leaving that is winning trophies and doing well. So, that shows you're not the fan who's on the pitch, because you or I, for example, probably would not take that decision to do that. So, I thought that was it. It's as simple as that. And the fact is, as much as people had kind of booed him, all the argument about booing him when he's a Liverpool player, he isn't a Liverpool player now, and he's coming back, and the job is to unsettle him in the way that you unsettle every other Real Madrid player, and Liverpool absolutely did that, because he did basically nothing when he came on the pitch, really. So that 100% worked. And I don't know why people who are on the outside can have the say on it if they want to, but you just got to kind of ignore that, I guess, because I think a lot of it's been total nonsense, really. And I think Liverpool fans know how they should feel. They know how they should approach a player coming back, and I think they absolutely nailed it, to be honest. And one thing I would say on the mural, I don't really understand, and I hope this doesn't come off as kind of bitterness or any kind of, don't want to talk like that about footballers or be like that, but I cannot understand why it's still there, for all the reasons that Jamie Carragher spoke about, in terms of, what's the quote that's on it, just a normal lad from Liverpool whose dream came true. It's just doesn't really make a lot of sense for that still to be up, does it, now, when he's gone to Real Madrid on a free transfer. He's coming to Anfield hoping to damage Liverpool's hopes of winning the Champions League. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, to be honest. So I don't really think that should still be up, if I'm honest, and therefore it probably won't get defaced if it just gets painted over and maybe put someone on who, is Liverpool through and through.
Yeah, it's not saying anything's right or wrong. I was actually astonished it's taken this long for it to get defaced or someone to put something on, because we know what the reaction's been from some time. It's honestly surprised me it's this long. Not that makes it right, but yeah, we'll see if anything happens on that one. And in terms of the squad, it was great to see Curtis Jones back in as well. So he's available, another body needed. And Arne sort of kind of danced around it, because it was a weird press conference. I'm sure the Spanish journalist seemed obsessed with just asking him about how good Real Madrid are. But from the bits we got, sounds like Isak's quite close as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed for the Manchester City game, which again, it would be just such a boost to get him back. And, if you need a goal late on, I mean, I actually thought Chiesa did well when he came on again yesterday. But, Isak, in terms of the level of quality he can provide and goal threat, to bring him off the bench late in games like this would be really, really helpful. And, just be nice to get him fit as well. So, hopefully he's back in for the Manchester City game, and the squad is starting to look a bit fitter and better now, and the bench is improving, which is massively helpful. So yeah, hopefully he can get back, because I think that's one of the factors as well recently that Liverpool have had to deal with, is they've had a lot of injuries, a lot of games in a short space of time, and a lot of away games as well. So the injuries easing off will help things.
Will do. But just seeing it this morning, it's been confirmed that obviously he's had his groin, but Isak's been called up by Graham Potter for Sweden. Surely, would he not just benefit from a rest? I know that's a Liverpool fan talking, and Sweden won't care, but is that the best thing for him?
Yeah, I mean, probably not, to be honest, but I think, Sweden have been very understanding, haven't they, in recent games, in terms of how they've managed him, you've got to say. And so they probably feel like, well, let us use him if he's going to be fit. And if he does come back into the squad for Man City, then he is fit to go. So, yeah, Liverpool have just got to kind of watch on from behind the sofa and hope he doesn't get any further knocks.
Yeah, which we'll be doing for everyone else, because no one really wants international duty, but it is coming after this City game. And the final off the field one, I mean, this is brilliant in one sense and mystifying, because Virgil van Dijk, FIFA Pro Player of the Year, in the Team of the Year, 5 years now, so in it for this year. So, well-deserved, correct decision. Mo Salah not being in the FIFA Pro Player or Team of the Year with the likes of, again, it's going to sound bitter, but Cole Palmer and other attackers, that is just mystifying after last season, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't Yamal on the right wing as well? I think I might be right in saying. I mean, I think Yamal's an unbelievable player, and he's going to be, if he carries on at his current pace, going to be a world class footballer, ridiculous level because he's only still so young. But he wasn't better than Mo Salah last year. That is absolutely laughable. So, but we're used to this. I mean, Salah kind of getting snubbed in the Ballon d'Or rankings as well. He should have been much higher, and you're just kind of used to it at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah, it probably shouldn't really be a surprise, but yeah, as ridiculous as these things are. And then this weekend, I know you never get to pick these things, but I've had a tough game against Villa and the toughest in the Champions League. It would have been nice just to have got a West Ham at home job, wouldn't it, in all honesty?
Yeah, definitely. This is it. Liverpool's fixture list recently has been a bit ridiculous, and it just continues in this one. They've surely got a kind of run of really kind fixtures coming up somewhere because it just felt kind of relentless, really, since the start of the season. So, but the fact is, if you lose some of the games as well, where you would hope you'd get more, even though Palace away is a tough one, you would hope to get more there, and losing to United at home is a blow. It puts pressure on you to get results in some of the games where you wouldn't really maybe think that you have to get something, generally speaking, and Manchester City is one of those, and Liverpool, they've got to go there and get a result really to kind of keep themselves within touching distance of a title race, with any hope of being in a title race. I almost feel like they've got to win really, because I just think if Arsenal extend that gap anymore, then it's already at this early stage is pretty much over, to be honest.
Yeah, it does feel that way. This almost feels like Arsenal's perfect fixture in a way. And I mean, we've had a poor run, we can say that up until now, but it's definitely looked better and pretty good last night at the same time. They will go into this with a bit of confidence now, won't they?
Yeah, you would hope so. They should do, because, like I say, the underlying performance is there. And I think what's nice is that they know, or they would think really, that Villa and Real Madrid and Man City probably similar approaches, try and build from the back, try and be patient in possession. And, particularly the Real Madrid game, I mean, I think Liverpool will just possibly go exactly the same tactics, exactly the same approach, because, if they can keep City to that kind of really sterile possession and manage their threat in that way, and then be a threat in transition themselves, and that is exactly how they want the game to go. So, and it's a way you can see the game possibly going as well, Manchester City away. So that should be the aim, and they'll be full of confidence that they can pull that plan off, having done so against Real Madrid on Tuesday.
I was going to say, how do you think they go? Because you think back to last season, we almost played like two false tens, didn't we? And Wirtz could be involved in that. You could make sure, you've got the box midfield. Do you think he will just be plug and play from last night, keep it tight? That's the way to go.
I don't see any reason to change it, to be honest, in terms of personnel or tactics. I mean, maybe a question mark over Robertson. Did he seem to get a little bit of a knock at the end? So we'll see what's going on with that. But Tuesday to Sunday is a decent turnaround. They've got a good rest now, so you could, in theory, go with the same 11. And I think the tactical approach is something that should really fit nicely with what City are going to try and do. So unless City throw an absolute curveball in, I think Liverpool should go same again, and there's every chance it can work.
Yeah, you do hope so. And again, it sounds like I'm bagging on players a little bit, but does your gut tell you that Gakpo's probably going to come back in and Kirkes might get a start for this one?
Kirkes maybe, just because Robertson, can he do the 3 games in a week? That's the question mark, albeit, as I say, Tuesday to Sunday really helps his case for staying in the team, and his performances absolutely do. But I think Kirkes maybe. I'd be kind of surprised if Gakpo comes back in, just because I think Wirtz on that left-hand side, all the kind of ball carrying quality gives you what he gives you in build-up, etc. It just makes even more sense in an away game, to be honest, to kind of solidify that side. I think Gakpo for me is kind of the games where you're going to be on the front foot and you want goal threat in and around the box. He definitely provides that. Whereas Wirtz, I think, like I say, for trying to control possession, for trying to use the transitions and being able to kind of just hit the ball off him, and he can take it tight and move it on. He just makes a lot of sense in this game, really, for me. So, yeah, maybe a change at left back, but I think other than that, he should just go with what he's got.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what he does in that regard. And I think for what we'll have to do at City, sounds a strange comment, but we're going to have to score 2 because the cyborg is just in insane form. And Haaland's got a shout to be the best player in the world on form right now, annoyingly, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you would say is Van Dijk has generally managed him pretty well. And I think Liverpool's job is just to stop the ball getting anywhere near him if they possibly can. That will be the aim because, Liverpool have kept him quiet a few times as well. So they'll feel like they can do that. And the upside is if you can somehow keep Haaland quiet, then nobody else is really scoring for them. So you could really manage City's threat by doing that. But of course it's a gargantuan task to do that. He's an absolute freak of nature. But yeah, if anyone can do it, I think Van Dijk can do it. I think Canate is capable as well physically of matching him. So that'll be an interesting battle. And if Liverpool come out on top of that one, gives them every chance of winning the game.
Well, yeah, it does feel like that is going to be the ball game there and then. And you want to obviously continue when we talked about momentum. I kind of asked you this the other week, but almost like if you could give Arne Slot a truth serum, do you think he'd take a point in this one to go 3 unbeaten before the international break, a tough away one, that he'd take a point without playing it almost this one?
Yeah, he probably would. I mean, as I say, I don't think that will do any favours in terms of the title race because if Arsenal win at Sunderland as they've got, then the gap's then what 9 points is it? And I think that looks already like too big of a gap to overcome, unfortunately. So I don't think it does them any favours. But in terms of Liverpool, where they're just trying to build a baseline, where the performances are good, the confidence is on the way up. Points away at City is by no means a disaster, is it? It's just unfortunate they've got themselves in the position they have where probably only a win will do in terms of having any faint hope of the title. But he probably would deal on a point, but we'll see what happens in the game. And if you can get anything more than that, then that would be fantastic.
Yeah, would be a brilliant result to finish. And I know we're finishing before the international break. As much as a few weeks ago we were like, bring us on that international break, and now we wanted to just like hold it back a bit because it's going better all of a sudden.
No, but I think if you get a good result going into it, then the confidence will be up and it will be helpful. So that will be the hope is that they can, if they just come out of this run in a better place and in a place where you can say, okay, well, if we come back and we keep putting in these performances, our position will massively improve in all competitions. That's really got to be the aim for them.
You hope so with that one. And you mentioned fixtures after the international break. On paper, it seems to be a bit easier because Forest at home, although we know what happened last season with that one, but Leeds to visit Sunderland. It seems more bottom half teams. The run just starts to look good if you can get back in good nick after the international break.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, worryingly, West Ham are now starting to show a little bit, aren't they? Which is, could have done with playing them a couple of weeks ago. But I mean, still, it's a game you'd think Liverpool would be able to win. And Forest, that being at home is helpful. Obviously, the Champions League PSV at home as well is a good one. Leeds are, the at home they can be a threat and it can be loud there, but it's one you manage. And Sunderland, that being at Anfield, is definitely helpful. So it definitely looks like a kind of run. But Liverpool have had this coming for a while because, as I say, the run of fixtures previously has been awful. And I think they've got, you kind of look now on paper when they come back after the international break, all the way up to kind of Arsenal away in January is not too bad at all, really. Wow. Very, very winnable games in there. So you've got to kind of make that happen and deliver on that. But it's certainly looking better than it was. But again, just kind of try and keep that confidence going by getting a result at the weekend. That would be massively helpful.
Yeah, game at a time, I suppose, on that. And I'll probably ask you one more because a few put this in a chat panel. It's right to ask about because you'd have seen that Ryan Gravenberch did the press conference. He was asked about his contract to say, very happy here, but not been asked anything yet. We'll see. People are wanting naturally Dominic Szoboszlai on sensational form. So him tied down. It all seems quiet on him, but it all just seems a little bit quiet contract-wise at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, so not really heard anything in terms of progressing on any of those, really. So, I asked kind of people close to Gravenberg's situation a few weeks ago, and they said nothing yet, but no panic yet. It's not in the period where they would be worried about that. Maybe we get to the other side of New Year, and that's when they start to talk about it. But, definitely one to think about with all of the midfielders, really, in terms of where they're up to with the contracts, because you'd like to tie them down. And of course, the Canate situation is still rumbling on as well, and we've had no progress as far as I understand it on that one.
Yeah, which you never know for definite, and we always say things can change quickly in football. But the fact we're on the 5th of November and he can sign a pre-contract, the odds are going down every day, aren't they?
Yeah, you've got to say and acknowledge it's a worry, but as I've always said, no indication yet from the players' side, and definitely not an indication that kind of talks have ceased or anything like that. So there's still always a hope. And look, getting a win over Real Madrid, that's always handy in terms of and the form improving, and the prospect of Liverpool winning trophies this season looking a bit brighter. So hopefully he'll be feeling a bit better about it. But we'll see if they can reach a compromise on that one.
Yeah, we'll see if anything develops, because it isn't a million miles away till January now either. But there we go, people. Real Madrid put to the sword. A 1-0 battering, you could call it. Plenty to like, plenty of great individual performances. Let's just hope we can replicate this against City on Sunday. All it leaves me to say as ever, for the time, the insight, and for answering all our questions, David, it is massively appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
And ladies and gents, that was another Media Matters by Anfield Index.